Hey, Dean.
Afternoon, sir.
How are you doing?
I set a goal for myself this week. Kathleen and myself is going to jump on one module and see how much we can get done in 5 days working on it for 40 hours.
Nice. Nice. Did you see, I don't know if you saw, our guest on May 5th. I posted his video on the Caboose page called A Sense of Place, I'm sorry. Really good video. And he said he and his friend would come down 2 days a week. Yeah. When he was building his layout, and they spent 10 hours a day, those 2 days. He was coming down all the way from way up in upstate New York. So he would stay overnight. They'd get started the next day. And he built his layout in a little over a year.
That's one of the reasons we do, the module thing. Back before all this started, I'd have 2 or 3 of my buddies come down like 1 weekend a month.
Yep.
And we'd hit it. But they started this new trend at NMRA conventions, where they have those module builds.
Right.
And I want to get a team of like 4 of us together, and just wear it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Bear with me just a second.
We're going to try the same thing at the Winston-Salem show.
Oh, nice. Well, that's a good thing for people to see,
Oh, yeah.
Because they see that it's achievable and it gets them encouraged, Let's see.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, I'm gonna have to go get a jacket. I'll be right back. It's kind of cold in my basement.
You got one on the back of your chair.
Oh, do I really? Oh, that'll work. Probably enough for me. I'll right there. Sweet. Yeah, this is from my local distillery. Spirit. One of my friends owns it. That'll work.
I'm amazed at your Sharpie collection.
Those aren't Sharpies. That is.
The chalks?
Those are Copic markers, and that's a whole lot of money right there.
I know.
What kind of markers?
Copic? COPIC. These are what professional comic book artists use because you can blend with them. You can shade this marker with other shades.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
And then I have like a colorless blender that will let me blend any two colors together.
That's awesome.
They're pretty fun. I really like them.
There's Gary. Hey, Gary.
Hello.
All of our technology working? It looks like it seems to be.
It seems to be working.
Cool.
My wife will act as cameraman tonight.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay. What time is it?
6:20. We still got a little bit.
I need to have my phone. Well, I need to have it charged, but I need to have it here once it's time so I can keep an eye on time. For some reason, the time disappears from the bottom of my screen when I have full screen.
Yeah, it does. Huh?
I mean, I could exit that, but then I don't know what gets streamed to Facebook. If what gets streamed to Facebook is a minimized screen, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because that's what I got.
Now you see the whole thing, right? Because I know when we did it the other day, you mentioned this, Michelle, that we had the full screen, and it was no, we had the Hollywood Squares view, the gallery view, and that's what was on the live stream, right?
So I messaged you. Yeah, that's what was on the Facebook stream. So I sent you that message.
Kevin, do you record these?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, we're recording right now. And then Gerald edits them, and then we put them on the Facebook page, on the YouTube page. Plus, for the period of time that they're live stream, which will go live in 3 or 4 minutes here, on Facebook, then that's obviously effectively recorded because you can always go back to our Facebook page and see it later. So really kind of recorded in 2 different ways.
What Facebook page is that?
It's on Caboose.
Caboose?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, Michelle. You were asking me that. What Facebook? Yeah, it's on the Facebook, Caboose Facebook page.
Oh, this
No,
is Gary's wife asking. I'm the one that's on Facebook.
He's probably not used to having 2 women on the broadcast.
No.
Yeah, true.
Well, no, I'm just not used to having someone I'm talking to who's not on one of my windows. That's what's confusing me. I get it now.
Okay.
I get it now. But I was like, wait, where's this voice coming from? There you go. There you go. Yeah, on the Caboose Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll bring it up once we get started too.
Okay, thank you. I'll get my green pen out.
Caboose.
So Dean, I want you to go check that out at some point. Go to our Facebook page and check out the video we posted of Ken Karlowitz's Delaware and Hudson layout. It's not a video of his layout. It's a documentary. It's about a 20-minute documentary, 25-minute documentary.
On your YouTube or on your Facebook?
It's on the Facebook page.
Okay.
Or you can go to YouTube and just type in Ken Karlowitz Sense of Place, and you'll get it there. It's right there on our Facebook page. So easy to see.
Good.
And I'm going to unmute Bob here for a second before we start. I'm going to ask, Bob, did you see my email about 15 minutes ago about Thursday morning at 10? Would that work for you?
I think so, yes.
Okay, good. I'm going to send you a meeting invite.
Okay.
It's 8:26 Western Maryland time.
Is it? You know what that means? Facebook Live.
This works for you, right? Stay synchronized. I tried to stay synchronized and then eventually I get off.
R-E-T. Oh, I see it's live.
Looks like it's almost ready to go live.
Let's see if I can find it.
So Thursday is the 30th. 10 o'clock
Yes, you just
a.m.
Okay, I see it, but it's me on your screen. That's funny.
What?
I've been making noise because the Facebook Live starts out looking at me. I'm sorry, guys.
You have the Facebook Live?
Yes, I can see it now.
Cool. I can turn that off and not turn it off, but I can exit that screen. I guess if, you know what, I never thought about that, but I'm wondering if I exited Facebook on this computer, if it would kill the live feed. It might. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to exit it.
Okay, I'm like, I don't know.
Hey, Mr. Lana. Hey, Mr. Stiles. Hey, Greg. There's Ned. There's Dave. There's Roland. Awesome. Gang's all here. Let's see. I'm going to send an invite here, and then we're going to start in about a half a minute. So. Why is it my computer works so much slower if I'm in a hurry?
They always know.
M-I-C-H, Michelle, C-H-R-I, Crispy Joe, send 10 o'clock, Thursday, 4:30th Mountain Time. There we go. All right, Mr. Lessig, it's on your email.
It's Magdeburg. The last station was Magdeburg.
I hope this worked, but I'm going to try it again.
Hello, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing, Jim? Shells.
Good. I'll mute.
Wow, why do I have all these windows open? Okay. Should be on your email. If it doesn't show up, if it doesn't show up, Bob, then I've screwed up on the invite and I can just resend it.
Nope, I got it.
Oh, did you? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I saw that you'd emailed me. Perfect. Okay, I will, I'll mute the rest of you here that aren't muted now. And then we'll get started because I'm a minute late. I'm a minute late. I'm not going to mute Michelle. Let's see. All right. Here we go. Well, it's another Tuesday night, in spite of the fact that I put Thursday on the show notes. I know, Gary, you knew which night we were talking about. And it's time for another OS Virtual Check-In. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We have quite a few on the call tonight. Yeah, good number on the call tonight. Thanks for being with us. This is our way between us at Caboose. I'm Kevin Ruble, and my co-sponsors are Michelle Kempema with Colorado Model Railroad Museum. Hi, Michelle. And is Chris Palomarez on yet? I think I saw him somewhere here. There he is. There's WR54. Oh, my phone died, Chris. I didn't hang up on you. Chris and I were just having a phone conversation here about half an hour ago, and I just summarily hung up because you know how that goes. So thanks for co-hosting, friends, and thanks for all of our train enthusiast community friends for being here as well tonight. As you know, OS is a way that we continue to support and cultivate connection within the train enthusiast community. Same platform, same Zoom platform, every Tuesday and Thursday through, I used to say between the end of the year, but I was only able to schedule them through, I think, September, the end of September. That's long enough, right? First 45 to 50 minutes, we'll do an interview, then Q&A after that. As you know, just move your cursor towards the bottom of the screen and a little nav bar will pop up. If you have a question at any point during the show, just move your cursor down there, click that little chat bubble, and you'll be able to type in your question. Let's see, ground rules. We're here to connect with fellow train enthusiasts, have fun, and so please be respectful, no trolling, no grandstanding, or inappropriate comments or questions. Leave politics out of the forum. Nice caboose. That sounded kind of strange. Gus was showing me a picture of a caboose. Showing us a picture of a caboose. Yep. Nice caboose you got there, Gus. That just sounded a little strange, didn't it? So we're recording our shows, and we intend to post them to the Caboose YouTube page as soon as they're processed. Thank you, Gerald, for processing our YouTube videos and cleaning them up. And of course, we're live at this point on Facebook as well. We're open to suggestions for speakers, guests, I should say, for topics, suggestions as to how it flows, you know, anything, we're open. So let us know. So without any further delay, tonight's guest, where do you find him? Where did he go? Tonight's guest is Gary Ratay. And Gary, I you know, these little scrolling things across the top make me crazy because they're there we go. Speaker view. There we go. Now, because they're you ended up at the far right end. So, Gary, thanks for being here tonight. And our first question always is the same. Tell us about your background, where you grew up, and tell us particularly about your passion for trains.
Okay, Kevin. Yeah, I lived in Boston till 3rd, 4th grade, and then my dad got transferred to Denver, so we moved to Denver, and I grew up and stayed here in the Denver area. Denver schools, went to University of Denver, started in engineering, then changed actually to art education and taught art for a number of years, and then moved into library media.
Nice.
So
You know, those who are
Yep.
on our call from other than the Denver area, and there are quite a few, don't realize when we say, when someone says they're from the Denver area, we say, oh, you're the one, because there's not a lot of people here from the Denver area. So we can say that tonight on this show. Gary, you're the one. You're the one that's still here from the Denver area.
Yep, since 1957.
We don't run into a lot of people anymore who are truly natives. So sorry to interrupt. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yep. Well, you ask how I got trains. I've kind of always been interested in trains, and I do think I always say that it's in my genes because my dad was born on a train going from France to Prague.
That's cool.
So
It's literally genetic.
yep. And then he had a small HO layout, and I did some HO modeling. Actually, my first HO, I modeled it, had a New Haven locomotive.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and I always think that I also had one or two box cars that were Boston and Maine. So
Cool. Well, I mean, you originally, before you moved here, what, third grade, right? You were in Boston, right? Till the third grade.
right.
So that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, you'd see a lot of New Haven and a lot of Boston and Maine up that way. Cool.
And then I kind of got away from modeling for quite a while, and then I got married, and my father-in-law was a modeler. He was a friend of and with Lindsay Ashby in the Colorado Central up at Central City. And so I kind of got back into model railroading, and then on my honeymoon, we actually rented a car and drove all over. But I just was amazed at the total number of trains and the variety they had. It wasn't, you know, you can go down to Union Station and you get one train west and one train east in a day,
Right.
where you walk into Munich and you have trains going, hundreds of them every hour. So
All over Europe.
yep. And that kind of got me hooked on European trains. So then I got started in modeling, and my first layout was a N scale in Swiss German. I had two helixes, and actually had 100% working catenary, so I could run two trains at once. And that was a layout that was on the tours in the 1976 NMRA convention that was held in Denver.
That's pretty amazing for a few different reasons, and that is, first of all, that you employed helixes in 1976. You're ahead of your time in doing that, but what amazes me is 100% working catenary and N scale. I mean, and not just for 1976. That's pretty amazing for 1976, but working catenary and an HO gives me enough of a headache to think about. N scale that's quite a task.
Yeah, it was on the helixes. I just mounted a rail up in high that got for the power through them, and there was a height difference of about 2.5 feet, because I was modeling Swiss, so I had a train in the valley and then climbing way up and crossing over the same valley on a bridge.
Nice.
So then our daughter was born, and that necessitated a larger house. And with a young child and everything, kind of got out of it for a while. And then back in about 2006, got back into it really seriously and got into my current layout.
Nice. You know, I guess I could ask this question later, but it still intrigues me. It seems to me that in N scale, working catenary you'd have to have such tight tolerances. Either that or really good springs on your pantographs. Did you find that to be operationally any kind of a challenge, given that you were using, you're modeling in such a small scale, and you're actually have functioning catenary?
Well, one of the things that they had at that time, the only real working catenary was by Volmer.
Uh-huh.
And the wires for the catenary were a little thicker, so it was pretty stable and pretty stiff.
Hmm.
But it really, yes, it took a while to get it going, but I mean, I have to say it was really fun. People at the 76 when they came in the tour were pretty amazed and thought it was something really neat at that point in time to be able to run two trains on the same track where you could have back them up right next to each other or just change speeds and all of that.
Right. Something we take for granted today with DCC, you were able to accomplish with working catenary because, as I recall, you said one locomotive would draw power from the track and one from the catenary.
Yeah, you had one common rail.
Right.
Which
sure.
was, and then that's how it worked.
That's pretty interesting. So that brings us to your current layout.
Okay. Well, we can start. Its room is about 18 by 14.
Okay.
And we can start with the main station here is modeled after the Munich Hauptbahnhof. And this station is no longer there. The front part, the back part is still here and still in Munich, but the front part, they just totally tore it down starting May of last year. And they're going to rebuild it and add more hotel to it. One of the things they're doing in Munich is they have one double track that runs completely under the city. And they're building a second one. So there'll be 4 mainline tracks that will run under the city.
Under the city. Okay.
And so I wanted to model particularly when we were there in the 70s and 80s, a lot of German stations were dead-end stations.
Mm-hmm.
And Munich is one such and still is and will actually still remain that way. So I wanted to model that. So that's where this came from. And
so is it this station's entirely scratch built?
yes.
So what materials did you use to build it?
Wood, cardboard, and paper.
Wow. I mean, that's pretty amazing because it's such a modern structure, and particularly with all the what I would call the sawtooth roof, with the windows up there. It's really pretty amazing that it's wood, cardboard, and paper. Basically, that's pretty cool. Awesome.
Yeah, one of the things. On one of the trips we went and did just photographing all the time. So would stand in front of the Coffee Fellows store and take pictures, and then the next place, and just walked along in front of the station taking pictures to put them together. And that also came true. The same thing over here with the underground. Yes.
Oh, yeah, I like this.
I have to say, one of the things about building a city is it's a lot harder than you think when you first start. You think, but there's the city, and then we have the the underground here.
I like that with the cutaway. That's pretty cool. That's real cool.
And let's see.
That's like
we can
basically a subway station, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They call it an S-Bahn, which stands for Stadtbahn, which means city bond. And so these are a little larger, and they're full gauge, and they run quite long distances in a lot of places and times. They also, Munich also has subways, which are another level under this level where they are.
Wow. So it's like a commuter rail size people mover.
Yeah, it really is. It's, and one of the questions I always ask is, how come we don't get the nice, smooth running, comfortable seated commuter rail from like Union Station out to the airport? Oops, let me see if I can get this and pull in.
Yeah, because as I recall, I'm sure you'll show us here, this has some automation involved with it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of the automation working right now, but I am running JMRI software and the Wii throttle. Okay, let's see.
And these structures, while we're looking here, these structures above, are they a mixture of kits and scratch built, or are they mostly kits?
Right. Some are kits, some are pre-built ones that Tommy Tech, a Japanese company, makes.
Yep.
Like this building here is a Tommy Tech, but the Nespresso building next to it is scratch built. And then this one is a Tommy Tech with new front printed frontal things put on.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
that's cool. You're operating it from your tablet. That's awesome.
okay, let's see.
So there's JMRI on this tablet too?
Yes. And that would be a typical Munich S-Bahn.
And so this function, you've got this function, as I recall, you have this automated to where a train every few minutes or so comes back and forth from either direction. Is that correct?
That's correct. It actually alternates two different trains, that one and another one.
Yeah. Okay. And then, yeah, you mentioned you had also, you have some automation programmed into that to where there's train announcements and things like that as a train stop. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. I mean, particularly for something that's not the main focal point of the layout. This is an ancillary scene to the rest of the whole layout. It's really cool that it has that level of automation and it has that level of animation. That's really awesome. And
and again, if you look at it,
I like the way it's cut away. I like the way that the cement above it or the ground above it is kind of cut away like that. That's pretty slick.
Well, one of the things that was really difficult was to model the escalators.
So you scratch built them?
Yes.
How'd you do that? That's interesting. Uh-oh. There we go.
Like a cry cut or a silhouette cutter, and then glued together.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the silhouette cutter can cut out the same shape repeatedly. So, I cut out about 100 sides. Windows here, which were
Oh,
all cut out. In other words, this is cardboard. It's a thick paper, and you can see that the windows really cut out very, very nicely.
nice. And when we're looking here, who makes your track?
The track is all Kato.
Oh, okay. Nice. Very nice. We're getting an occasional.
So good.
There we go.
And it's
There
very,
we
very dependable. So that's what I opted for, greater dependability and ease of installation and all of that.
Awesome. Nice. Well, so, since we're talking about that subway, let's talk about some of the other technology on your layout. I think you were an early DCC adopter, right?
Yeah, I started out with the lens when it was only lens, was the only DCC with I don't know whether anybody else remembers the old LE75 decoders, but those were some of the first decoders. And I lost my train of thought there.
The lens system, and well, yours is now a combination of lens and JMRI, right? You mentioned JMRI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think some of the automation and some of the control, as you can see here, this is the area of the layout that's right behind.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is the main railway station, the dead end station. And then this here is this station over here.
Okay.
And right now I'm actually getting a lot to the sound locomotives and some of that.
And we noticed on your JMRI there that you have on your screens, you had cameras in some of the hidden areas, right?
Right, in some of the staging areas.
Yep.
And this would be one of the newer locomotives. This is the ICE-4.
Oh, nice.
And one thing that Americans aren't used to is when in traveling is the speed at which the trains pull out of the station.
Mm-hmm.
And also the speed, like many times they will go through a station at 70 or 80 miles an hour, and they just issue a warning that that's going to be happening. And
yeah, only one place I've seen that in the States, and that was on the coastline in California at Encinitas. Trains will come through the station there at 75 to 80, and it's pretty impressive to see, to stand on the platform. It's pretty hard also not to get blown over.
yeah, one of the things, there's a YouTube video of the trains going through a station on the Frankfurt-Cologne line at Limbaugh, and the two central, there are 4 tracks. The 2 outer tracks are platform tracks, and the 2 inner tracks, they go through at 300 kilometers an hour.
Holy
is
smoke.
about 180 miles an hour right in that area.
Yeah, that's got to be impressive to see trackside.
I mean, it really is. It blows you away. And then the train comes out of the tunnel here.
Maybe literally.
Oh, it can.
So this is the town of Neisenberg, is that right?
Well, this particular town is Naumburg.
Naumburg,
where
okay.
This one. And again, as I said, my wife's into genealogy and she has relatives in Naumburg, from Naumburg. So that was, I picked for this station, and then I modified, as I said, the Munich. I don't call it Munich, I call it Neisenberg for the other station.
Yes.
One of the things that's fun and not necessarily technological is over here. And this is the area I'm working on in my future. It needs a lot of work, and I'll probably be hitting up some of the front range people for help with doing some of the scenery. But is this bridge, and what makes it really nice is,
Oh, wow.
it's done with springy thread to make these so that you can
You can't break them.
you can't break them, and if you have a train derailment or something, you can reach the train.
Yeah, you can reach in there and stretch them and it's not going to wreck it. That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
So the supports on that I built, and that was modeled after a bridge in Dusseldorf, Germany.
That's awesome. That's a architecturally, that's really an interesting bridge. So since we're at this corner of the layout, I think one of the there are many unique things about your model railroad, and we can get to some of those in a moment. But when we're at this, since we're at this corner, tell us about your unique bench work. I thought it was amazing.
Well, yeah, this is the bench work. Used to be that Container Store would bring in all this bench work with shelving for Christmas displays for all their Christmas stuff. And then at the end of the Christmas, they had more shelving than they needed and would sell it. And I went over and I was only going to buy a couple things for garage storage. And I started buying a little more and a little more. And finally the guy said, look, how about if you take all of it for, I think it was, excuse me.
Bless you.
$200. And so we ended up with all this shelving, and that's what then I started using it for the layout.
Nice. That's pretty good because it's cabinet grade stuff, and it's sturdy. It holds things up, right?
Yes, I mean, it can hold a lot. You can stand on these shelves. And I've made most of the things so that you can remove them. And there you can see one of the staging tracks and additional storage.
Nice.
And in this panel, you just set it down, but
without that panel front is exactly what it looks like on virtually all of the layouts that I built. Without that front, there's just a bunch of junk under there. I like this way of hiding, your storage. I think it's pretty cool. Plus, it's so. How do they attach? Do they attach my magnetic catches or?
No, it's just friction.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, I like it. It's a great way to kind of hide what can be the nasty part below our layouts. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I should say that panel is friction. Some of the others are Velcro tabs.
Okay.
And that works. And then, as we talked about, one of the things I really enjoy having is the turntable.
Oh, yes.
And if everything works here, we can bring the locomotive here. And I'm thinking, last week, Paul, and you were talking about how photography and so forth can really help your modeling. And
Right.
I totally agree with that. Sometimes I cuss at it because I find the imperfections. But one of the things I've started doing is video with it, and immediately find how that even though I think I'm going slow, when I do a video and look at it, it looks like the locomotive is just zipping along.
Yes. Yeah. A totally different perspective. It's funny you should say that, Gary, because I was reading an article in Model Railroad Planning just the other day, and I want to direct our viewers' attention to how slow and smooth this turntable operates. Because it operates very smoothly and silently, really, right?
Yeah, it's using the Digikias, which is a Netherlands company, turntable controller, and it's a Fleischmann turntable.
Nice. That's, that reminds me, that's another thing that watching it on video like this, and particularly watching it at a low level video, we can see that probably many times, most times, our turntables turn way, way too fast. And this is more of a prototypical speed.
Yeah, the coronavirus canceled the Dresden Lock Fest, but there are so many videos. If you can go, you can type in Dresden LOK Fest and find all these videos of the steam. And I adjusted the speed based on that turntable.
I guess we all just want to hurry up and run trains, but if we're flinging locomotives off the turntable because we're spinning them so fast, it kind of defeats the purpose. Nice.
Oh, I'm stuck here.
It's because you're live on camera.
Right.
Wouldn't happen any other time. We all know that, right? Very nice. And then the other day we were also talking about a really unique aspect to your transfer table.
Right. This is a transfer table. It's made by Minitrix, and this particular one is no longer available. This actually is one of the few items I have left over from my 1976 layout, but I had to design my own circuitry to make it so it's digital control and rework that. But yeah, come on.
That's a nice prototypical speed too, but I think this next aspect is what just blows me away.
Well, we'll bring a locomotive on here.
How many locomotives do you have?
125.
Holy smoke. I was going to say, every time we've panned a scene, there's been quite a few locomotives in each scene. That's a full roster.
Well, it's one of the things that attracted me to European railroads, and it's actually getting more interesting because they're having all of these private rails, which this
Contract
particular
operators.
locomotive
Yeah.
is one. Oops, I mean, wrong locomotive. Here it is. Okay, set.
It's pretty cool that you're doing that on your tablet. Well, we can see just from this shot, the variety and the paint schemes and the types of locomotives. You know, I see a crocodile there. I see all kinds of locomotives. That just a whole lot of variety. Much more colorful than we're used to, particularly for those of us who model, you know, the late 60s and early 70s.
Well, they're getting, as you said, the crocodiles there. They have a big thing with art locomotives. And, okay. Okay, well, as you said, since we're on live TV, it's not, that part's not working.
Not gonna cooperate. Well, I think that feature is pretty darned unique, and we can kind of see the outline here. So,
okay, here we can do it. Oops, went one too far. Yes, as you said, you can see the outline here. And this transfer table has a turntable on this one, so.
and that's just amazing that it's a transfer table with a turntable built into the middle of it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, it's, as I said, it's unique, and you can get the Minitrix now has re-released the transfer table portion, but without the turntable.
Not the turntable, yeah.
Now,
well, it's a cool feature, and obviously it was patterned after a prototype somewhere, right? Which is just, yes, it's amazing.
There were two of them in Germany. There is only one that is still in existence now, and it's on a private museum line. Cool. What the future plans have on it, and what I had on my old layout was, you ran overhead or catenary across, so that the train can move under it and still have power.
There was always hot, yeah, on any track. Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is basically, you can see it. And then, as we talked about earlier, it's just one of the fun things is the IKEA store.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about some of these structures, because I like the structures that you have on the layout.
The IKEA is again made with wood, printed. The IKEA part is from photographs printed on photo paper and then glued onto wood. And if you've been out at the IKEA here in Denver, it's an N scale model and it's pretty large.
Yes.
Oh, by a long shot.
Well, it's a
But
huge.
the other thing that's unique is this right here, a smart car tower. And they actually have the smart car tower. It's just outside of Dusseldorf, right next to a McDonald's. But you can go in and they pick your car. So I modeled with a couple in front here, and she's pointing at which one she wants. So
So, you know what? I'm going to jump in, Michelle. We have one question. Jim had asked a question. If you have a Keep Alive in your locomotives,
I'm sorry, what?
do you have a Keep Alive circuit in your locomotives?
No, I wish I did, particularly on some of them.
And then Michelle mentioned you need to take the roof off the IKEA so you can see the river of people moving through it.
One of the things that I found actually recently is just just taking canned air and just, really giving the locomotive from the bottom. And that seems to clean out a little bit of the dust. And I found that before I do running, if I do that, I actually get much better and more dependable performance. So,
Right. Nice. Nice.
my big thing on Keep Alives is I would love to have a Keep Alive that I don't need 30 seconds of time. If it just even gave me seriously 1 second would be absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, good point.
And that would be a lot smaller in size.
You remember I was impressed the first time I went to it was a Train Fest in Milwaukee, and Walthers had their little Plymouth ML8 industrial switcher there. That was the first locomotive they had made with Keep Alive. It came from the factory with Keep Alive in it, and they had a little circle of track with about a 4 to 6 inch section of masking tape over the rails, and the locomotive's running around, and it would just run right across that section with the masking tape like it was live rail. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes it impressive.
And of course, there's a time that I was operating on Rich Gibson's layout, and we had a steam locomotive that we took off the track. It was setting on the foam off to the side, and it was still chuffing for about 5 minutes after we took it off the track. So there's always that, as long as it doesn't take itself off the table, right?
Yep. Well, like this building here was built exactly to fit right in
that space. Yeah.
That space, which is very typical of European buildings, that they'll make them odd shape just to fit the space.
Well, much more dense population, which is largely, I think, why you saw so many trains and such a variety of trains, because they have more because of their population density, which makes it's harder for us to do that, except in areas like Northeast Corridor, but lands at quite a bit of a premium in Europe. So
yes, it is.
That certainly makes sense, and that just kind of, as our guest next month, Ken Karlowitz would say, that just is another one of those things that gives you a definite sense of place. Buildings that are shoehorned into spaces that are available, right?
That's it. And then I think this building, actually apartment complex, is very typical of a German block. So you have different buildings all together. This is again from photographs, mounted onto wood, and then it has the courtyard in the middle with some trees and so forth.
So are these like commercially available photographs or
No, these are ones I've taken
did
from
you?
over there,
Cool.
and digital allows you to do it.
Did you do the same thing with excuse me, the structures on your backdrop there?
Yes.
Nice. And
And
what I'm noticing also is that retaining wall. Tell us about that because I like the yeah, I like the graffiti because it it looks realistic. Is that did you do that by hand or is that something that's photographed and on a,
I drove my wife and nuts as taking pictures of graffiti. I said, "Oh, look at that graffiti! Oh, I want to get some of that." So, and for instance, the sour here was my mother's maiden name.
well, if you see that in graffiti, you have to take a picture of it.
Oh, you do?
Exactly.
That has to be on the layout. That's cool.
And then again, because of my wife's genealogy, she said, you have to have a cemetery. So here's the cemetery.
Nice. Where are your headstones from? Are those Woodland Scenics, or did you have them? Did you make them, or
Most of them are Woodland Scenics, but
right?
there are some that I just made from styrene, and cut and sanded and painted. And the only thing that my German cousin has said, "Oh, you need more gravestones. They're not close enough." Because
Yeah, those are packed in too.
They really pack them in. So.
Oh wow.
And actually, in Germany, there are some permanent cemeteries, but there are others where it's a rental. You rent it for 20 years.
Really? Then what? Do you get evicted?
Yes. At the end of 20 years, you have
Where do you end up?
call you up, and they'll dig up the bones for you.
Well, if they can't find anybody to come get them, they just
throw them away.
Really? Oh my gosh.
I have photos of piled up grave markers, grave headstones, where they made like a big hill in the middle of the cemetery because they took them all out.
Well, why don't they recycle those? Just plane them down and re-engrave them.
Right.
If you're going to recycle the bodies, why not recycle the headstones? That's amazing.
And
I've never heard of such a thing.
That's very, very German. In the Czech Republic, they stack them. In other words, you have a family grave and just keep adding them on top.
Condo graves.
Start with.
They dig pretty deep to start with. And the interesting story there is that my grandmother on my dad's side died, and it was just a few months later that my grandfather died. And so they couldn't put them in the same grave because they
Health regulations.
Health regulations.
Oh.
So he's in a separate grave, family of his daughter's husband.
And she's with the rest of her maiden name family.
Wow. It never really struck me until now when you said stack them. Literally, it's stack them. Yeah.
Yep.
In the same grave.
Yep, right on top.
And all the names of the people in the grave are put on the family marker.
Could never do that in Colorado. You can't get that deep in Colorado. You got to have a serious excavator to dig through granite to stack people up.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well,
Wow.
one of the other things that I'm playing around with now, you talk about video, is I got this on Amazon, and I then I put a new close-up lens on it. But
Did you fabricate that close-up lens, or did you buy it, or what?
took it from reading glasses, 2.0 reading glasses,
Oh,
and then just cut that out of the center of the lens, and then mounted it on a truck, and then you can push it with a locomotive or pull it or whatever.
that's cool.
And the camera then
So
plugs into your computer.
How's it connect? Is it Bluetooth or what?
No, you can use the mini SD card, or you can just connect it USB.
So it's a mini GoPro, basically.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
And every once in a while, I have to remind myself that we're looking at N scale here, because that's a pretty tiny video camera.
yeah, it is.
That's amazing.
And
Which just gives you more video footage to say, shoot, oh, look at that, right?
exactly. That's there are places I know where I'm going to be reworking track work, because when it's on the video, it is horrendous.
Yeah, I've noticed that in it's unfortunate, because I've noticed that in one of the popular manufacturers' line of track, that they for manufacturing purposes, their gaps between the points in the stock rails are quite a bit larger than the prototype. You know, they're close to a foot perhaps, and you don't notice it with the naked eye, but you do notice it on camera.
Yep.
So yeah, it's there's really something to be said. And that's I've already seen that's going to be continue to be a recurring theme on our shows, is that you know, the camera doesn't lie, and it's your eye. And as we said, I guess 2 weeks ago with Paul Brenicke's layout, particularly in N scale, because
Yes.
you know, no matter how old we are, our eyes are not what they used to be, and you know, it's we can take some amazing photographs today, even with our iPhones or our smartphones, and see things that are not readily apparent to us as we're just observing it with our naked eye.
Well, I
Well,
think that covers things. And if you have any
that's
questions,
pretty awesome. Yeah, let's see. I have a few. We have a few questions. Michelle?
Yeah, do you want me to? Let me start with the Facebook. Someone said they'd never seen a transfer table doing a 360, and I agree. I'd never seen that before.
You just did it, right?
Hang on to that. That was
What's
cool.
cool is that there's a prototype for it, right? Somebody just
yes,
didn't make this up at Tricks. They said, "Hey, there's a transfer turntable in wherever in Germany. We need to make a model of." That's cool.
And then someone's asking if you have an ICE train or ICE train. I'm not sure how to say it.
He
yeah,
showed
it's
us-
ICE,
Okay.
and
That's the one you ran earlier, right, Gary?
that's correct.
Out of the station, yeah.
Okay.
You know, Gary, and I interrupted you when you mentioned that when I was leaving the station, but you said not only the speed at which they go through the station, but you said the speed at which they depart the station, and I got you off track. You were starting to say something about that.
Yeah, they accelerate really, really fast. And you know, one of the things that one of the first times that I showed the layout here, one of the people that saw it commented, are you running those at prototype speed? And I had to answer, I don't know. So then I installed a speedometer here so I could, and it is in kilometers.
That right?
And so I can check my speed right along this track, and this is my highest speed stretch right here. And prototype trains go up to 300 kilometers an hour, 200 miles an hour approximately.
Which means you have some really, really gutsy graffiti artists there.
Definitely.
Oh,
I love that graffiti. That's pretty cool.
I
you wouldn't believe where they put it, though. I mean, they are gutsy.
Anywhere you're near live rail where trains are running 300 kph, you got to be pretty gutsy.
Yeah.
Really serious about graffiti, or have you sniffed a bit too much of it, one way or the other?
We have a question if Gary's a member of the European Train Enthusiast Group.
Yeah.
I'm aware of them, but I have not joined.
Okay.
But
I
I
think
may.
we'd like to see your layout.
Yeah.
And then the last question is a comment first that all of your road markings are perfect, and they want to know how you made them.
They are printed on paper. You know, my art background is in photography, and I have a gigantic printer. You would not believe the size of it. There it is.
Oh my goodness.
And I can do 24 inches wide by however long you want to make it.
Which is
Oh my
nice for
gosh.
genealogical charts, pedigree charts.
But
It has nothing to do with trains.
it will also do smaller sheets and everything, but it is a very, very high quality printer. And so on the street markings, I start by printing out, by just drawing what I want, scanning it in, and then having used photographs of pavement and everything, and then just put the lines and set it down like I want it.
Nice. Nice. So it's paper on top of like cardstock or styrene, or
Different places, it's
Yeah.
on different. So it's really paper is almost a misnomer because it's fine art paper. And if you've ever handled watercolor paper, it's about that thickness.
oh, okay.
So I mean, it's pretty thick.
Yes. Yes, thick enough to be the roadway surface itself. So you didn't have to
Yeah.
be overlay. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting that you said you do that, because that was one of the he didn't talk about this on the show, but when Lance Minheim was a guest, he mentioned that he was actually using Google Earth photographs of streets in LA and printing them out for his LA Junction layout. And that's a really good way to get really prototypically, I'll say it in a minute, prototypical looking streets, was to use photographs. So I think this is, and I think we're seeing a lot more photographs in modeling than we used to.
Yeah, this particular brick wall right down here is actually from a station in Berlin. You know.
Nice. Well, do we have any more questions, Michelle?
Nope, that's all we've got. Lots of people just saying on Facebook, thank you for the layout tour. It's really, really a nice layout. It really is a nice layout. I have to say, my first question when we started was, how do you have a drawer under your layout? But I love those panels.
Those are cool. And
Yeah,
Michelle did help us out with our metric to English conversion. When Dean had asked how fast is 300 kph, it's 186.4. Is that right, Michelle? 186.4.
Yeah, I just did a quick Google calculation on it. So
yeah, I think that means it's really, really fast. That's the official word.
You know, and the ICE trains are very well sealed because, like the line from Frankfurt to Cologne, there are a number of tunnels. And you hear the air hitting, but you don't really feel it inside the train. And I've been on one train where the seal was broken, and it really was not very comfortable because you would feel the pressure on your ears every time you'd enter a tunnel.
I would imagine. It's kind of like being in a subway when a train comes, you know, except with the far less of an effect, but you get that little bubble of air that's pushed in front of a subway train, right?
Yep.
So very similar, because there's generally tight clearances within subway tunnels. So That makes sense. Well, awesome. Well, Gary, we appreciate your taking us on our European vacation with us here. It's been a lot of fun. It's been great to see your layout, and the structures, the technology, the unique bench work, and the fact that you have a chunk of Europe as you remember it and as you enjoyed it in your home. It's outstanding. So thank you so much for sharing it with us tonight.
Thank you.
This Thursday, 6:30, our friend John Parker, who I think is on the call still, John Parker is going to be on our show and with his BNSF Fall River Division. And we'll be talking with John at 6:30 Mountain Time on Thursday night. Hope to see all of y'all then. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to my co-hosts, Michelle and Chris. See
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Bye, everybody.